Sega Saturn, PS1, and Sega CD long boxes continue to be a problem, and finding copies of the games in good cases in the wild is becoming harder and harder to find. All the ones I ever seem to find have broken hinges, are scratched, and or cracked. And as someone who has a nice collection of games, I want them not only to play well on my console, but look halfway decent on my game shelf as well. So in my quest to try to find a viable alternative, back in August I found some replacement cases by VGC, and I did a review of those cases. See the card in the upper right hand corner if you ended up missing it. My review of the first runs of cases were mixed. I thought what you got for the money could be worth it, assuming you had the original tray and you didn't mind the cases not closing properly. While the mods I suggested were a good way to temporarily fix it, I still craved a better solution than what I had found with the mods. So in January, Chris from VGC reached out to me and asked if I wanted to take a look at their second run of cases. I quickly looked at Amazon to kind of get a feel for what the new cases were, and responded back quickly saying I'd be happy to take a look at them. So he sent me some cases to go ahead and take a look at and review for you on the channel. So with not any further ado, let's get into what the second run of VGC cases are like. So the cases I received came from Amazon, and they came in the box you're seeing in front of you right here. There was actually another Amazon box on top of that with more padding in it, but let's go ahead and crack this box open and take a look at what the cases look like when you get them. From a shipping standpoint, I was really happy with this. I think there's definitely sufficient amount of packaging, bubble wrap, and I do like that the cases are individually sleeved from the factory. It's a really nice touch. Make sure they don't get scratched, as you can kind of see here. So I've got a copy of NHL 97. And this has the first run of VGC case currently on there, and as you can see, it doesn't really hold shut very well. Looks good, and I've got the original CD tray, so it makes it, very usable nonetheless. But let's go ahead and replace it with this second run VGC case, and we'll quickly run through the process of changing those out and seeing how everything works out. As you guys can clearly see here, everything comes together really well, fits together really well, and sure enough, that case stays really well closed. And look at that, there is resistance when you want to open it. It feels awesome. One thing to point out while I was changing the cases, I did note that the original Sega Saturn game came with a compact disc logo on the CD tray, whereas the replacement from VGC didn't. To me, this is not even the slightest of a big deal, but just for the sake of pointing it out, I did want to point that out. The other thing I did notice, and this is impressive to me, is if you kind of look at the way that the embossing is on the actual case itself, on the inner tray, Between the original and the one made by VGC, as far as I can tell, they're pretty much identical in both look and feel. Finally, the last thing I wanted to point out was just kind of the difference between an original case and the ones between VGC, the sound they actually make when you open the case. So I've got my original copy of Sega Rally, and that one's in really good shape. It's an original case, and then I'm going to do a sound comparison against the ones from VGC. Hopefully you guys were able to hear that. You can definitely tell that the newer cases are a little bit louder and a little bit, more firm to open. I'm sure a lot of that has just come with normal wear over the years on the legacy case. Sorry, I don't have any brand new games to test it with, but either way, very satisfying to open the VGC cases. So I want to go ahead and address the elephant in the room. These cases are $60 for 10, so they are $6 each. And I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Wow, that really seems like a lot for these cases. And you know what? It's not. Because here's the reality of the situation. These cases are well made, they are well designed, and they work the way they're supposed to work, which is exactly what you want. Now, I know some of you guys are sitting there thinking, well, I'll just go find some cheap sports games, toss the inserts, and reuse the case. And of course, that is something that you can absolutely do. But I can tell you something right now. Before doing this review, I went to 2 different of my local game stores to try to actually do that. And you know what I found? More broken cases, and the sports games were between $5 and $10 each, which makes them actually more expensive. And trust me, when you're sitting there with a really nice copy of House of the Dead or Saturn Bomberman, you're going to want a brand new case for it. And it seems I'm not the only one with this opinion. If you look on Amazon, it has an average rating of 4.5 stars out of 5, which, isn't so bad. So I guess what I'm trying to say is overall, I'm very happy with these cases, and I totally think that they're worth buying. But with all that being said, I want to thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys for the next one here soon.